everyone, and welcome to this screencast in our senior seminar class. Today we are looking at Chapter 11 of the David Allen book, Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. This Chapter 11 begins a couple of chapters where he takes a deep dive into a couple of key principles that I think is important for us to consider. Up to this point, he's been walking us through the basics of the GTD workflow, making sure that you have your inboxes and your buckets all lined up and that you've got a review habit in place and have sorted out how best to make decisions about what it is that you need to do. But here in this chapter, he circles back to the capturing habit, and he wants to make his readers really reflect on how important this skill and habit is. I think it's especially important for people who are starting out their careers, college seniors, and the like. This is an incredibly important habit and skill to develop for people who are just beginning their life and their career. I want to highlight a point that he makes at the beginning of this chapter in the third paragraph on my page 243, where he says this: "When people with whom you interact notice that without fail you receive, process, and organize in an airtight manner the exchanges and agreements they have made with you, they begin to trust you in a unique way. More significantly, you incorporate a level of self-confidence in your engagement with your world that money cannot buy. Such is the power of capturing placeholders for anything that's incomplete or unprocessed in your life." So here he really lays out the importance of this. Notice in this quote where he says they begin to trust you in a unique way. And I just want to say that this is a skill that will have tremendous value and give you a heads up in any career path you happen to take in the future. Now, typically for this chapter, I give an assignment, a little assignment that tests your ability to capture something and act on it. And without fail, I can tell you that very few people successfully complete this little assignment. It's usually a small assignment like post a tweet on a given date. And it's something that I communicate usually just once, either in class or online. And the goal here of this assignment is not to make anyone feel bad, but it's designed to highlight the importance of capturing stuff that comes to you and making sure that it gets processed in an appropriate system that will remind you at the correct time to do it. So again, this all goes back to the material that he's covered in chapter 5, 6, 7, 8, all of these chapters where he walks through the various workflow diagrams and how to process stuff that comes to you. And this little sort of a little test is just designed to help people see where they are in terms of capturing this stuff. And by and large, the vast majority of people in the courses that I teach don't do this. And it really is an eye-opener and a wake-up call that the system that I currently use, which is usually just to keep stuff in my head, is not going to be sufficient. Now, in the context of a classroom, these assignments don't really have any weight. They don't have any consequences. They're safe assignments to have, but they're designed to highlight, what would happen, for example, if this assignment were given by a boss or a colleague in your workplace and you ended up dropping the ball on it. It would have potentially some pretty serious consequences. You want to be the person in your work environment that you're known for being the person that someone can trust, that when they put something out there that needs to be done, you're going to be the person to make sure it gets done. Now, also in this chapter, Allen dabbles a bit into the psychology of all this. Remember that the subtitle for this book is The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. And there is an art to this. It's not a difficult art, but it is an art nonetheless that is trying to help you to develop clear habits so that you don't have to rely on your mind to process all of this material, your mind that will inevitably let you down. Now, a big section in this chapter is how to deal with the agreements that you have made that have the potential to be broken. How do you eliminate the stress and the negative feelings that come with broken agreements that you've made? And he has 3 options in this section. One of them is not to make the agreement. Here's where I think having some clarity on your higher horizons can help you make these decisions. What are your values? What are your goals? Make sure that, by and large, your projects and your actions align as best they can with those values and goals. And Alan seems to think, and I agree with him, that this will help you to make decisions about what to do, and also, more importantly, when to say no to things that come at you. His second option here is to, of course, complete the agreement. This would mean you just get it done. And here again is where your system of buckets will help you sort out what is immediate and what are the longer-term projects that you are working on and how to actually execute and get these things done. The third option is to renegotiate the agreement. Now, this is an important one. Lots of things that we have on our respective plates need renegotiation. I can't do this until something else happens, or I've got to move this back on the calendar, or whatever it might be that you have to renegotiate. But you'll not be able to do this if you're keeping everything in your head. It has to be in an external system. If you've ever dropped the ball on an agreement that you've made with yourself or another person, then you know how fallible your mind is at keeping track of all of this stuff. And as he says in his section on time management, beginning there on page 249, the reason why this external system is so important to have is not because everything in our lives is equally important, but because it's not equally important. And so having an external system that can track all of the things that are coming to you will really help to make sure that all those balls stay spinning in the air. So we need to get into the habit of capturing things. And if you're not good at this, if you find yourself dropping the ball, I would suggest that you find the tools that will help you be successful at capturing this material. Perhaps a note card in your back pocket, or the ability to write something down at a moment's notice. Maybe you need to develop the ability to dictate into an app that will help you capture material. Whatever it is, whatever tools that you need to better help you capture this stuff that comes to you, it's super important that you develop this habit. I love the point that he has here on page 250 where he says, I suggest that you use your mind to think about things rather than to think of them. You want to be adding value as you think about projects and situations, not creating stress by simply reminding yourself that they exist and you need to do something about them. This is a great reminder that we should be thinking about things rather than of things, and that external system will help us be in a position where we can do just that. The final section in this short chapter is on the power of this capturing habit from an organizational standpoint. And here again, he highlights how valuable, really valuable, this process can be. I know in my own life I've had a number of situations where I've captured material that's come to me and used it down the road to help build relationships across my own organization and colleagues and friends with whom I work. So just give you an example of this. It was not that long ago. I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine whose son was dealing with a rather difficult health issue. And in the course of the conversation, he mentioned that his birthday was coming up, that his son's birthday was coming up in about a month and a half. And everybody was stressed out about this health issue, and he was worried about not being able to celebrate his birthday really well. And so in the course of the conversation, I captured a couple things. I captured the son's name. I captured when his birthday was and that he was dealing with this illness. And then about a month later, I just simply sent a nice email to this colleague of mine and just letting him know that we were thinking about him and hope that his son was doing well and hope that the upcoming birthday would go well for the family. And I just want to tell you that something simple like that in a normal conversation would have gone in one ear and out the other. Not that I'm not concerned about his son or his sickness or anything like that, but because in the course of daily conversations, these kinds of things typically don't get captured. So the fact that I remembered this and sent him a note a month later after our little water cooler conversation, really impressed this guy. And I just want to tell you that those kinds of things can really help you in a work environment and can really make you stand out as somebody who is quick to capture that kind of stuff. I mean, remember, most of us don't have photographic memories. So you have to have the ability to be able to capture this material as it comes to you and be able to use it when it's appropriate. So don't underestimate the value of this capturing habit. It is really, really important. And that's what Alan is trying to help us to appreciate here in the last section of this book. You want to be the person that can be trusted. And I'll tell you, just again, from the been there, done that school, the time for making excuses or using your charm or whatever it is to get a pass for a dropped ball is over. We live in a very highly competitive world, and there are too many other people out there who are able to capture this stuff and do what they're asked to do. So if you haven't developed this habit of capturing, please give this some thought and try to figure out some ways that you can maybe tweak it and make it work better for you. So that's all I have for this chapter. I'd like you to put some of your thoughts and your ideas into the Slack channel. Next time, we'll take a look at another important principle in the David Allen system, and that is the power of next action decisions. And we'll look at that when we take a look at chapter 12. So until then, I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.